Hey, Lisa, have you ever thought about how we use certain word pairs in English when talking about towns and cities?
What do you mean? Like what kind of word pairs?
I mean collocations, when two words just naturally go together. Like, we always say small town or big city. You almost never hear someone say tiny city or large town, even though those would make sense.
Oh, yeah. That's true. Small town sounds so familiar, but tiny city just sounds weird. I grew up in a small town, actually.
Really? I always thought it would be interesting to live in a small town. I grew up in a big city, so it was always busy and full of people.
That's funny, because sometimes people in small towns say they want to experience the excitement of the big city. My cousin went to the big city last week to watch a baseball game, and she said everything just felt so different compared to home.
I totally get that. When I moved from the big city to a quieter area, I really noticed the difference. Speaking of which, have you noticed how we often use phrases like busy street and quiet street?
Yes. No one wants to live on a busy street, right? All the traffic, noise, and trucks driving by all the time.
Exactly. I remember when I was apartment hunting, the real estate agent kept saying, "This apartment is on a quiet street, perfect for getting a good night's sleep." It's such a selling point.
That's smart. In my old neighborhood, there was a sign that said no trucks, so the street stayed pretty calm. If you run a business, you probably want to be on a busy street, but if you want to sleep well, you definitely want a quiet one.
For sure. And have you noticed that towns and cities are often divided into different areas? Like, there's always a commercial area where all the shops, restaurants, and banks are.
Yeah, when I meet friends for coffee, we usually pick a place in the commercial area so it's easy for everyone to get there. There's always a pharmacy, a post office, maybe a pizza place or a little diner.
That's the best. And then, of course, there's the residential area, where people actually live. Rows of houses or apartment buildings, lots of trees and maybe even a playground.
Oh, I know what you mean. My parents' house is in a subdivision, which is just a group of houses that were all built together. The kids in the neighborhood used to play outside all the time.
That's what we call a close-knit community, right? In small towns, everybody knows each other, and people look out for their neighbors.
Yeah. Like, when someone gets sick, people bring over food or help with chores. I love that feeling. In big cities, it can be harder to get to know your neighbors.
That's true. Sometimes, I hardly see the people living next door. Oh, and let's not forget about the industrial area. That's where you find the factories and warehouses, usually on the edge of town.
I've been to an industrial area a few times for work. It's not really the place you want to live, lots of noise and sometimes strange smells.
Definitely. And here's another pair, parking lot and parking space. Whenever I drive to the supermarket, I always hope there's an empty parking space close to the door.
I know. I once spent 15 minutes looking for a parking spot at the mall during the holidays. Parking lots can get so crowded.
They really can. On the other hand, I love green spaces in cities, parks, grassy fields, places with trees where you can relax.
Absolutely. There's a green space near my apartment with a little pond and a walking trail. On weekends, it's full of families and people walking their dogs.
That's so nice. And some towns are lucky to have historic buildings or historical landmarks. You know, those old train stations or beautiful old libraries.
Oh yes. There's a historic building in my hometown, a really old schoolhouse. They turned it into a museum. I think it's important to keep those places around.
Me too. They add so much character to a town. Speaking of community, have you ever been to your local community center?
All the time. Our community center has a gym, a swimming pool, and even hosts movie nights. It's also next to the public library, so sometimes I'll borrow a book and then head over to meet friends.
That sounds great. I love how all these different places make a town or city feel complete. It's interesting how we use all these collocations without even thinking.
You're right. They just sound natural after a while. Using them makes our English sound much more fluent, I think.
Totally. So, if someone's learning English, I'd say practice with these kinds of phrases. Next time you describe your neighborhood or city, try using quiet street, commercial area, or green space.
That's a good idea. And if you ever move, you'll know exactly what to look for: a quiet street in a nice residential area, maybe near a green space and not too far from the commercial area.
Sounds perfect. Thanks for the chat, Lisa. I always learn something new talking with you.
Same here, Alex. Let's do this again soon. Maybe next time we can talk about collocations for food and cooking.
Great idea. I'll see you next time for another English chat.
See you then.